Okay, we have video. Let's see if we can actually record a podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Zim and the Husky fella. Yes, it's been a while. Brian, we actually I think we've pleased the technical gods.
Well, for the moment, but who knows if this will last for
Well,
I don't know.
I've been doing the YouTube videos. You don't like the video.
Yeah, because I've got a face made for radio
Well, anyway, hopefully the audio
and a voice made for video. So there you go.
the podcast for Zip the Husky fella is coming through. We have a lot to talk about because obviously we normally start recording in July, and then we get up to this final week or two, and we have the Big Ten and SEC is all we have left. Well, now we have a lot to talk about in a little amount of time. Are we set up? Are we square? Let's square that. There we go. Well, Brian, we might as well we're going to jump in with 2 feet. We watched the Ireland game, Kansas State, Iowa State, sloppy.
Yeah, it seems like between the NFL and the NCAA, like last year's college football game was pretty good with Florida State and Georgia Tech, but it seems like the NFL and the NCAA, it's like we're giving them our worst possible product. I mean, like, look, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Enjoy.
Well, it's Florida State. You're right. It was.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was an entertaining game. It was close. This year's game was just sloppy.
Another conference game, and this, I mean, we're going to talk about it. This might have decided who's going to the college football playoff.
Yeah, I think we both agree that the Big 12 is a one bid conference, and it's sort of taking the place of the ACC. It cannot be won; it can only be lost at this point. SMU kind of backed into it last year, or SMU's the ACC. See, I did that again. I said SMU is the ACC, not the Big 12. You hope
they can still get in, but we're like, nah, they can actually get
in the Big 12. Let's just make that happen.
And that's just it. I don't think any of these moves are done because, and more than any other year, now that we are X amount of years into the transfer portal window thing, it's all Big Ten, it's all SEC.
Well, we talked about, the ACC said that they're going to go to 9 games. Well, mathematically, it's impossible to play a 9-game schedule with 17 teams. So they said, well, we might include the Notre Dame games then in conference standings.
Right.
Stop with this.
Right.
Either they're in the conference or not. Don't say, well, they count for conference standings, and then they were like, well, we've got Stanford and Cal, so we've got a lot of smart people who can figure out how to do this. I'm like, it's mathematically impossible. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't work.
Yeah. And at that point, go over, get Clemson. We'll just get rid of the rest of the ACC. Yeah. I don't know. Well, we might as well talk about that really quickly. Is the fact that, and we'll get to meat chicken here in a minute. SEC moving to 9 games moves the college playoff idea of 16 teams. We had 4, and then they properly got 12, and then they screwed that up. And they're like, well, we can't screw up 12. Let's screw up 16.
What about 24? So that way, we'll just put in the entire Big Ten and then 6 out arches. That's how we'll do it. So what's going to happen is, and we talked about this before when we were watching the game. What's going to happen is this is going to be 4 automatic bids for the Big Ten, 4 automatic for the SEC, and then everybody else kind of figure it out of the 16 teams. Because that SEC going to 9 games makes that now a uniform thing. They also said you have to play one non-conference Power 5 opponent, which fully for them for saying that. I wish that the Big Ten would do that and not have teams like Indiana, the Wolverines last year. Except they played Texas, but outside they usually play a pretty soft schedule.
Well, and that's what happens in the SEC too. We've been dominating them for years. It's Cupcake Saturday.
Yeah.
You can't have it. You got to get rid of it. You got to play Mississippi State instead. Which,
I feel Purdue is getting a lot of phone calls from that's
what you really want anyway. And honestly, I'm a traditionalist. I wish they hadn't destroyed what we had and also given us a proper playoff. But now you roll with the changes. We're in a different reality now. And the reality is we want more matchups between the best teams.
Yeah.
And that means the Big Ten and the SEC are going to play one another in regular season.
And I think what's going to happen eventually is they're going to do sort of a Big Ten ACC challenge type thing with college football where the SEC and the Big Ten will go, look, we can sell these games as standalone products. And we can say, look, ESPN, you've got the rights for the Big Ten SEC challenge. We're going to give you every year guaranteed 5 top 25 matchups.
Yeah.
All right, pay us. Yeah. And then they just split it up.
Well, as far as that goes, like I said, I think they'll get this done. We were looking at trying to squeeze in our 12, and honestly, Brian, you could still see this season for each SEC and Big Ten because the rest has really fallen off.
Yeah.
And let's jump into the Big Ten, but let's not bury the ugly lead. Michigan got off with a slap on the wrist that they can totally afford.
And I think it was shoot, what's the guy's name? That used to work at ESPN that said on three now the Speed Action Network that we follow. We both follow him. I can't remember his name. McMurphy.
Yeah,
Brett McMurphy, tweeted. He said, look, I think most fan bases go, yeah, pay $20 million for a title. And then of course a couple of Wolverines like, well, Ohio State paid $20 million last year for a title. And I'm like, yeah, but no, we did it we did it legally, whether it's the right way or not. We did it following the rules. The Wolverines had inarguably, I mean, the NCAA even said in their report that it went beyond what they could even identify because of the malfeasance and the deception and the destruction that the Wolverines did during the course of the investigation.
Absolutely no health organ the investigation. Look, back when Tom Brady had to deal with the Deflate Gate and destroying his cell phone, he got dinged. He had to have a suspension. They got rid of all the evidence, and the Big Ten and the NCAA said, "Well, we did such good diligence that they were able to wash this away, and we called it out too soon." So you wait. What's your message here? I mean, and that's why, and of course,
They did not show more than 52 questions. And they could say, well, there's nothing to them. Okay, then release it. If there's nothing in them, and they were like, hey, what do you want to do for dinner tonight? Great, release the text messages. Because I guarantee that's not what they said. I guarantee on, oh shit, they found out about us. What are we going to do?
The punishment to the people that are no longer being part of that program was prudent, but at the same time, and they said, well, we don't want to punish the kids that had nothing to do with this. Most of those people aren't any longer. You did that to Ohio State.
Yeah. Well,
you did that.
And they have a long history of doing that to various schools.
Yeah.
Remember, Baylor had that big basketball thing, and they almost killed the damn program for it. And they did immediately say, look, we're going to kill the program. But if you want to go somewhere, you can go. There's no restrictions. There's no waiting a year. That's back to wait a year. There's no, you can't transfer in conference. He said, if you want to jump off the sinking ship, jump off.
Yeah.
They should have done that with Wolverine. Said, look, guys, we're going to bring the hammer down. If you want to go, go. Because you're going to get punished if you stay.
At the very least, and Urban Meyer brought this up because I was hired by Ohio State. Jim Tressel got fired over just covering for his kids and kind of saying, I don't know. The cover up is always worse than the crime. We've always said that in all the years we've been podcasting. And they still got Ohio State on the players taking their own merchandise, their own bowl game stuff, the gold pants, things like that, and trading them for tattoos. Big effing deal.
Yeah.
And they got a whole season ban. And Urban Meyer was like, I had to go in there and tell these kids, sorry.
No. Yeah. Which remember, if in this is before the podcast days, we talked about that the year before when they accepted the bid to go to the Gator Bowl. They played Florida as a 6-6 team, and we were like, why not self-impose the ban? Even if the NCAA goes, all right, there's nothing here. We're not going to do anything to you. What do you gain by going and playing Florida in the Gator Bowl instead of possibly being able to play the following year in a bowl game or championship?
No postseason ban. They're gonna sideline him for games against New Mexico and other teams that don't matter. Connor Stallion is never gonna be in a position like that again. He gets a 10-year show clause. And there's old Hairball. Hairball. Oh, don't want to discuss. I'm not engaging. The NFL put the hammer down on Terrell Pryor and Jim Tressel.
Oh, no, you can't do that because he's punished by the NCAA and we're not officially affiliated, but we're going to do whatever they want us to do because we're in a free farm system from them. So now the problem, though, is as my wife said, well, what do you do? Because you can't tell the Chargers they have to fire Tressel. You can't tell them they have to fire Harbaugh. Yeah. And you can't fire Harbaugh now at this point because they've been there for a year. So,
I just think the NCAA is completely useless now, and we knew this already. Yeah. But I mean, now it's really proven it that it's the Wild West, man. They're going to make up the rules as they want.
Well, and this whole thing with the way that this new NIL deal is going to work is, where basically you self-report what you're paying the players and who's paying them and how. I mean, give me a break. This is not going to work, and I can tell you that right now. And this is going to be a cluster. There's going to be rampant cheating. I mean, more than there already is. And I mean, because the clearinghouse has to endorse every single NIL deal to make sure that it's according to fair value and for fair services rendered. Logistically, that's impossible to do for 132 Division One schools with a $20 million minimum spend, basically. I mean, there's no way to do that. So the schools are going to report whatever they want to report and hope they don't get caught.
They'll put it under a delayed payment system or deferment and this and that and the other, and it's going to be under these crazy. I don't know. We got to move on. The reason we are sitting in your wife's lovely decorated living room is we were supposed to be out on the patio where we normally smoke cigars and drink beer and do our podcast. We are dealing with tropical storm-like storms. It's not an actual tropical storm. It's just like, it's going to rain. Oh, my goodness.
So because we're not outside,
We can. I haven't been drinking a whole lot this week, and I was like, I'm not going to drink it. Then you were like, ooh, why?
Well, I mean, it was a reasonably good bottle of cheap wine.
Right.
The fancy cab is a good cheap wine. So.
All right, we got to jump in. We might as well, like I said, we got a lot to talk about, and I don't want to bury the lead. We don't have the time to do what we normally do and go, well, this linebacker is going to contribute and this and that and the other. I think we both made like brief notes on all the conferences, and we're going to start with the Big Ten. We're going to start with the best. The Big Ten and the SEC have separated themselves, and there's no doubting that. And look, I didn't want to buy the Penn State hype, but 2 straight years we've had a Big Ten team laden with returning talent, conducive schedule, parlay that into a championship. I don't think they can win a championship because of the Franklin issue, but they have the ability to get there.
Okay, and you know, they were saying, I was watching a show the other night. They were saying, look, you don't get over the hump till you're over the hump. You know, Kirby Smart had that where he's a good assistant with Alabama, but he's never going to win the big game. Mark Richt could never win the big game. You don't get over the hump until you get over the hump. So if there's ever time for him to get over the hump, but James Franklin better do it this year. This is the year he's got to do it. Or it's not going to happen. And you know, because look, 34-2 is a favorite. 0-6 is a dog. The only game they're going to be underdog probably is against Ohio State.
Yeah.
So you figure it probably be 11-1. Or it's 10-2. Yeah, and they don't play the Wolverines. But I mean, that's not really big.
You know, Drew Allard, look, and I ding this kid too, but back, I think this is his 6th total year. 3,300 yards passing, 24 touchdowns. The wide receiver issue is the only thing. Who are they gonna throw it to? Yeah. But the running back Singleton had 1,100 yards. They got a good offense. They got a good line. Key games. They have Oregon at home. They have Ohio State on the road, but they've always put the Buckeyes tough there. And honestly, in this day and age, you could drop that game and still get by. They did last year. And then, of course, you have Nebraska, who could be a fly in the ointment team later in the season. That's it. Their first 3 games are Nevada, FIU, and Villanova.
Yeah, I like that. We'll get into we probably won't talk about pick six, but I like Penn State laying those points against Nevada week 1. I think they really smoked them. But yeah, I mean, not only did you talk about those players come back and all that, they also brought over, I think, inarguably the best defense coordinator in college football, Jim Knowles. Yeah. You know, they lured him from Ohio State. There was apparently some tension there, kind of behind the scenes. He got a $500,000 or so pay bump from Penn State to go there, and everywhere he's gone, that defense has improved. And everybody said, well, it'll take him a couple years to improve at Ohio State. That defense year 1 got a lot better, and then year 2 was just ridiculous. And it was already good defense. So I mean, because Manny Diaz, you know, didn't exactly leave the cover up to there. So yeah, I think Penn State is the team to beat in the Big Ten.
Ohio State, I think, is still going to be in there, even with all the attrition to the NFL. But you could get in. This Ohio State team could lose 2 games and get in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's their over/under win total figure is 10.5. I like the under because I think they're going to lose to Texas. I think they lose to Penn State. If they beat one of those teams, I think they lose somewhere along the line to somebody else that they probably should lose to.
Games where you have to wonder, and we're going to one of them. We're going out to Seattle to see them play at Washington. That's trap game. Illinois. We both think Illinois is going to be pretty good. Yeah. So you have to wonder, all right, how do we replace that defensive depth? And now you have Matt Patricia, and then of course getting the quarterback picked, which Julian saying being the guy, that's a good thing. That's our guy, and he's supposed to tick all the boxes. He's a 5-star recruit. He chose Ohio State after being a Nick Saban recruit. If the offense produces what they're capable of, and the offensive line seems like it's better, it's about where you can make defensive line help because that got beat up by just attrition.
Yeah. I mean, losing the running back room was tough enough, and then losing both coordinators now. Remember, they lost Chip Kelly too. I think that's kind of a kill shot for them this year in terms of actually winning the title. I think they have a shot to make the playoffs, but then you trade basically Jim Knowles for Matt Patricia.
Don't know about that.
Specifically, Matt Patricia hasn't done anything good since 2016 if you look at his defenses and stuff. And then they have talent everywhere, but coordinator's a problem. They did get a couple good defensive ends to the portal. They got a guy from, I think, Idaho. But it's a lot to replace. And when they did try to make Hartline offense coordinator before, they slipped to 34th offensively for that 1 year before he brought Chip Kelly in. So I have a lot of concerns on the coordinator side of that.
I still think though there is enough talent. The cupboard isn't bare. I think they're still going to be in the mix, or they're going to be there till the end. And God forbid they lose to the rodents again. And forget it. Lose that game.
Yeah, I think that game is going to be the game that decides if they make the playoffs or not. Is the game. So we'll see.
We both wanted to not count Oregon. But we looked at Oregon, you're like, oh, you got to. 14 starters back. They get the transfer Dante Moore from UCLA. He fits that scheme pretty good. Strong wide receiver room. Evan Stewart is a star. Solid O-line. Key game is at Penn State. The rest of that schedule is Charmin soft.
Yeah, the only other top 25 team they have is Indiana at home, which Indiana I don't think is a top 25 team. So, yeah, I mean, the past two seasons, Oregon's only lost to teams that reached or won the college football playoff. They're probably going to have center Lapani Lalulu as a returning starter on the offensive side. But you mentioned Dante Moore. He's going to try to become the next guy to transfer to Oregon and shine there. The linebacker group might be the best in the country. Their linebacker group is real good.
You want to talk about a good defensive unit? It's Illinois. And that's how they've been winning games. And look, you can make all the old Husky wow has disappointed before, but Brett Bielema, for all his he's a different cat, right?
He's
a damn good coach. And the kids play for him. 19 returning starters. Can they run the ball is a big question. Their schedule at Duke, at Indiana, USC, Ohio State, those are their toughest games. Luke Altmaier is the quarterback there. He came over from LSU. Look, he had a real good season last year. 27 touchdown passes. Or 22 touchdown passes. He ran for a couple more. It's not to sneeze at, but it's the defense. And you've got a Charmin soft schedule, and you can play defense and win 9 or 10 games, get ranked in that top 15.
Well, preseason they're number 12 in the polls. And you mentioned USC as one of their tough games. I know that USC is
right.
Good.
Right.
So I really think they're two tough games in there. So yeah, I think that that's kind of the same situation as Oregon, where you go, well, what games are they going to lose? And they get a couple tough ones, but that's it. Like the rest of the schedule is real manageable. And it was interesting because they lost Ryan Walters a couple years ago, the head coach to take over the Purdue job. And everybody, oh well, there you go. There goes their defense. And all I've done is just continue to play as well as they were when he was there. So it's great.
Let's go through a couple of these other teams really a lot quicker. Michigan's got 14 returning starters. There's a lot riding on that freshman quarterback, Bryce Underwood. They don't run the ball well. It's intriguing what they have at wide receiver, but nobody's proven anything. And oh, by the way, you've got at Oklahoma, at Nebraska, at USC. That's asking a lot of a freshman.
Yeah, especially Oklahoma. I don't think it's going to be too really.
I get it.
But you're in Oklahoma early in the year, like I said, freshman quarterback. They did have a couple other sort of minor penalties with that, like in terms of recruiting, time spent, and that kind of stuff. Little things that I think could affect them a little bit. So I people are trying to hype them up as a contender for the Big Ten. I think they're probably the 5th best team in the Big Ten, maybe 6th. So
Nebraska and Indiana are interesting. So Indiana is got 16 returning starters. They got the Cal transfer Mendoza at quarterback. Henry's a really good back at running back. They had 11 wins last year. They had 9 in the 3 seasons prior. So Signetti's full of beans, right? But good coach. Indiana doesn't play anybody. They're going to win games. They only have a couple games that you go, no, they're going to lose those. And that is at Oregon and at Penn State.
Oh, they host Illinois.
Well, that's a key game. Now that's early too.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that game tells us a lot about them.
I think the games are built on both teams. We talked about this before the years past about that. So these early season games, like the game today, I think told us a lot about both those teams. That game with Illinois and Indiana is going to tell us a lot if one of them is really that much better than we think, or that much worse than we think. Yeah. So we'll see what happens to that one.
Nebraska finally gets over the hump, Brian, gets bowl eligible. That went 1-5 down the stretch. Dylan Raiola seemed to, as the season went back. I have a feeling, and I think they're going to get better, but they're not better than 7 or 8 wins.
Well, Matt Rule has long had the big jump in year three. So this is year three for him. This is when he's supposed to make the big jump. This is when he made the big jump at Baylor and at Temple before that. I don't know. It's Nebraska. They'll figure out a way to screw it. So, like they finally won a couple one-score games last year. It was a big change from years past. But I just don't fully believe it.
And Iowa. We always discount Iowa. Brian, they averaged 27.7 points a game last year.
Yeah, win total was 7.5. I think the over on that.
I like it.
I think that, look, their offense was slightly above average last year. Yep. So I think they're going to be better this year. So I mean, once he got rid of his dipshit son, that team turned the offense around.
The quarterback Husky comes over from South Dakota State, won back-to-back national titles. He's an upgraded quarterback. They have a couple interesting games. That's a winnable game against Iowa State. They've got Penn State at home, Oregon at home, so they could be a surprise. We don't like USC.
Yeah. Well, Lincoln Riley, I think, is overseas. I think he inherited a winning program in Oklahoma, rode that for a couple of years till it was clear that he had run that in the ground and was like, oh look, shiny object in California, let's go there, let's go to LA. He's running that in the ground. I just don't think he's a good coach. I think he's slightly better than the guy George Southern I love so much. They used to coach at USC. Yeah, he's Clay Helton 2.0.
They ran off Miller Moss. It's Maeva's show, but he didn't prove anything that he was going to be the guy, the next guy. He's no Caleb Williams.
They're just soft. It's really
Brian, Minnesota's going to win 6 or 7 games, but they got too many tough games, I think, on the road, including Ohio State and Oregon. We've got Washington is an interesting team I want to talk about. Big O-line, running back, Jonah Coleman, 1,100 yards last year. Quarterback is a sophomore called Damon Williams, and the head coach there says he could be the face of this program for the next couple of years. It's a troubling game. Ohio State going to Seattle. Go to the West Coast, it's tough. Do you think, though, that they can get back up to that level? Last year, they really got to only the level of the Pac-12 that they were in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not this year. I think it's probably a 7-5 team this year, maybe 8-4 if the cards break the right way. But you mentioned going cross country, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but last year I want to say in the Big Ten, teams that went coast to coast were like 3 and 15 straight. They just got murdered when you go cross country. And one of those was Washington going cross country and play the Big Poop House.
Yeah,
they lost to Wolverines.
Yeah. But Wisconsin, Luke Fickell is in year 3. Is he already on the hot seat? I mean, 13-13. They were ravaged by injuries, by the way, but they haven't had any luck with putting their stamp on the program. But he may not get it.
Yeah, I think I think they need to win probably 9 games for his job to be safe. Yeah. I don't think they win 9 games, so I think he might be in trouble there.
Rutgers also seems like everything's going out. No Kyle Monungai, no chance.
Yeah, I mean, they had the Big Ten training camp visit this morning. You can see it on Rutgers. But, yeah, I mean, Rutgers. Rutgers.
Teams that are awful in the Big Ten, Michigan State, look, they lost 9 games last year. They have a brutal offense, 101st nationally. Northwestern came back to reality. Preston Stone comes over for SMU, but, man, they don't have a lot of talent in the cupboard. Maryland has stepped back. Is Loxley's job on the job? His 7th year there. He's 33-41. And they've turned to a true freshman quarterback. I mean, he's putting his whole program on a freshman.
Yeah. Well, I did it before with Tua's little brother. He was kind of okay there, but he was never really great at Maryland. I mean, I don't think I think Michigan State's a little bit better than you're giving them credit for. But I mean, they're certainly not good. I think that they're a little bit better than what you give them credit for.
Uh,
These are the Rutgers.
Perdone, obviously, at 1-11 last year. Barry Odom there. Do you think he has any chance? Let's give him 4 years. Do you think there's any chance Purdue's relevant in that time?
I think that we might see him in the Gasparilla Bowl. Relevant in a sense of to be a Big Ten title now.
I'm with you there, Brian. Let's talk about the SEC. And like I said, we're not burying the lead. Normally, we go bottom up and all this other stuff, but I think this is the best way for us to get through, obviously, what we have. Now, before we go any in depth, I really do believe there's 4 teams from the SEC can make the top into the playoffs, and you can put them in any order.
I have 6, but
Yeah, but I think you could put the top 4 in any order.
yeah, I agree. I mean, every team in the SEC, and for that matter, every team really. I mean, if you were to get to in the previous year, I think every team is pretty deeply flawed. There's not really a team. I mean, Penn State, I think, is probably the least flawed team outside of the head coach.
James Franklin, there's your flaw.
That's the only flaw, really. If you look at that team, boy, that's a really good team. But they go, oh shit, we got James Franklin. One of the 15 on top of the top 5 teams. The SEC, all these teams are like, yeah, but,
Yep.
yeah, but, yeah, but.
Let's do the yeah buts then. Georgia. Gunnar Stockton has a better surrounding cast than Carson Beck did, but they only have 6 returning starters on defense. They've got a tough set of games that they got to play, but they get them at home. Bama's home, Texas is home. But I don't see that team being as Georgia as other Georgia teams. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, and we're going to have to find out if you made the right call. And kicking Carson off the turf for Gunnar Stockton. I mean, yeah, Gunnar Stockton, led them in the, that game when Carson got hurt. But did he do it across the season? We're going to find out. And like you said, they lost a lot there. They hit the portal for a couple key positions. Running back Josh McCray from Illinois, Army defensive end Elo Mendoza. But there's questions there. Yeah. And then you also wonder, okay, is Kirby Smart kind of riding his own coattails from when he won the title a couple years ago, and everybody's giving more credit than he deserves?
These programs get in a winning mode, and all you got to do is cut, paste, repeat.
Well, we talked about that when State was a bad.
Yep.
Was in Urban Meyer's Ohio State. When you get that rolling, like you said, you just kind of sit back and go, all right, what 5-star players want to come here? Come on, sign up.
It's Arch's time to shine, baby. And they got a really good running back, too. Quintavious Wisner, 1,100 yards, 7 returning starters on a good defense. Second in the country, Texas defense last year. I think that gets undercut. And you have the Sarkisian factor. He's not proven he can get over the hump. Last year was his best year. They got to go on the road to Ohio State. They got to go on the road to the Swamp to play the Gators. They've got Oklahoma, which is a rivalry game, and then they're at Georgia. It's the only reason to pick them second.
Well, I have a couple questions to them. Archman is really going to be as consistently good as they think and hope and expect.
Yeah.
Right? We saw flashes last year of him running and throwing and looking great, but now it's his team. So we're going to find out there. They lost a lot of players for them to be ranked preseason #1, if you ask me, including 4 offensive linemen, including offensive Kelvin Banks Jr. We're going to find out a lot next week in Columbus on Saturday. We're going to find a lot about both teams again.
Being the preseason #1, and let's say the Buckeyes come up and bite them in the ass and beat them, could that be a real negative? That they're not very good.
No, I think they're kind of in a win-win situation because if they lose that first game, Sarkisian go, look, guys, we're preseason #1 and we just lost. Yeah. This is what's going to happen if we go to Georgia, we go to Athens, we're going to lose. We're not going to play for the title. You guys got to quit screwing around. We got to figure this out. And then if they win, they go, look, see, we told you. Yeah. They're that good.
Now, everybody's saying Bama's one of the best 5 teams in the country. They went 9-4 last year. They got an unproven quarterback in Ty Simpson. They do have their top 2 wide receivers back and everything else. But, Brian, the pomp and circumstance is there because it's Bama, but this isn't Nick Saban's Bama. Now DeBoer is a good coach, a hell of a coach. He's won every place he's gone, and usually year 2, it's the big spike. But you've got so many other questions. Now, their schedule, they have 3 tough games. The rest is cake. Florida State, they're going to beat the hell out. Mm-hmm. And then you have to go to Georgia, and that's September 27th. It's early.
Yeah. Joe Miller was like Bizarro Michael Penix Jr. Explosive, mobile, sack prone. Now DeBoer has his type of quarterback. Ty Simpson, you mentioned he's unproven, but he's DeBoer's type quarterback. He's not going to take a bunch of big chances. He's a little bit more athletic, all that kind of stuff. The defense was great last year. The defense should be real good again this year if they can generate more pressure. They struggled to generate pressure last year, especially at the end of the year. We're going to find out real quick, though. Like you said, they play Georgia at the end of September. That's real quick which one of those teams is for real.
Yeah. LSU is who I have next, and Brian Kelly was 10-4 last year. I think that I saw Nussmeier not way down he's fourth team SECs, whatever. Nussmeier's passing numbers last year were off the chart: 4,052 yards, 29 touchdowns. He did have 12 interceptions, but they threw the ball every down. It seemed like they've got a trip against Clemson in Atlanta, and then they got to go to Bama. But the rest of their schedule is conducive, unless you get Brian Kelly purple-faced in a game that they have no business losing, and they lose it.
Well, did you know that because all three, the team's openers, are Tom Batters. You mentioned, they play Clemson, great.
Right, right.
I heard Jared Nussmeier, he's a Heisman candidate.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Really?
I don't buy it. He's fine, but he's not great. So, you know what I mean? They're Clemson, they get Ole Miss, Bama, and Oklahoma. And those are all road games. That's a tough road.
Brian, both of you and I are big on Texas A&M because of low expectations.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you look at the numbers, the ESPN's QBR bullshit thing that they have, the quarterback Marcel Reed was the best freshman in the SEC last year, better than Norris at South Carolina. Yeah. So I mean, I think 7.5 is very manageable for them. Their schedule is again real soft. So.
LSU at Texas are the three toughest. Yeah. The rest of that, they're going to probably win 8 or 9 games.
Yeah, I mean, Mississippi State, of course, Cupcake Saturday they play one AA team. So
I am down on Florida. I am down on Oklahoma, and I am down on Ole Miss and Tennessee. Quickly about Florida, thoughts?
I don't have them in my top.
No kidding. No. Lagway last year, too many turnovers. Their schedule's brutal at LSU, at Miami, Texas, at A&M, Georgia. Those are losses. Yeah. Oklahoma's got Brent Venables, 22-17 in his time there so far. Is he on the hot seat?
I think he's got another year as long as he doesn't go 5-7, 4-8. I don't have them on my list of playoff contenders. I have. I don't think it's contenders.
I'm just saying this is kind of the middle portion.
Yeah, I have Ole Miss and Tennessee. I have them as possible flies in the ointment, as you like to say.
John Mateer at Oklahoma, going from Washington State to Oklahoma. That's an upgrade.
That is a big upgrade. He's really good.
Ole Miss, then. Let's talk about them. Austin Simmons is going to be the quarterback there, but who's the wide receiver? Who's the running back? Who they got the block? They got a game against Tulane on the 20th. If they get beat, pack it up. They'll pack it in.
Yeah. According to ESPN, SP Plus, last year's team was Ole Miss' best team since 1963. You mentioned they lost all the guys there. They returned 31 of 143 offensive starts from last year. I think the skill players actually be okay. The offensive line doesn't have any difference makers. That is not a very good offensive line. It's all came down to quarterback Austin Simmons. It really is. If he's great, they'll be fine. If he's average to below average, they're going to be in real trouble.
As Nico Iamaleavea out, Joey Aguiar from App State in, but only 11 returning starters. You got a tough road to hoe on that because they've got Georgia, Bama, Florida, all games that I don't think they're good enough to win.
With them, it's going to come down to their offense. Because in 2022, they had one of the best offenses. Mm-hmm. Last year, they had a really good defense. This year, the defense should lead the way again. Defenseman Joshua Josephs, defense tackle Bryson Eason, yeah. And then Aaron Carter all coming back. Aaron Carter. Aguiar is more mobile, takes fewer sacks, but he also throws more picks. If the offense haven't, they're going to be contention. So we'll see. Because I think the defense is here.
Yeah. South Kakalaki, Lenora Sellers. Everybody's pumping him up as being a possible top 10 draft pick in the NFL. I'm like, look, he has a skill set. He's like Liam Neeson. I have a certain amount of skills. He's not very funny, though. I mean, I don't trust South Carolina dropping a game they shouldn't. They opened with Virginia Tech. They could lose that one. They're one of those programs that is, and they've never proven anything.
I mean, the guy does the Bible for the Athletic. Dave Brugler has Lenora Sellers. He's not even draft eligible. Yes, was like the number 3 quarterback if he were draft eligible. I'm like, come on, guys, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
I like Arkansas to be better than they're being picked. They're kind of buried down there. They're not going to compete for the league, but take it. I was going to ask you that, but Taven Green or Tylen Green, 3,154 yards passing, 602 rushing. They've got nothing behind him.
Yeah,
Is
I know.
But Pittman is he seventh year? Hard to believe.
Yeah, he had some momentum a couple of years ago, but it seems like he's lost all that momentum now. So I think they probably got to win again 7, 8 games for the be kind of safe.
Vandy's not going to sneak up on anybody. Do you think they make it back to 6-6?
I don't know. I hope not because Diego Pavia is a punk. He came out last week or the week before. He's like, well, if you want to play the best, you play in the SEC, not the Big Ten. I'm like, dude, you play at Vandy. Okay, that's like playing at Purdue or Northwestern in the Big Ten. Shut up. You play at Vandy, you're not running the SEC. Yeah, not even that. I go to once every 20 years.
Right, I have Auburn firing Hugh Freeze when they lose to they play South Alabama about the third week of the season. They did get Jackson Arnold in the transfer portal from Oklahoma, but he was terrible.
He was. He couldn't keep the job at Arizona or at Oklahoma. They benched him at midway through the third game. So yeah.
Missouri's turned to Penn State transfer Bo Prabula. You remember the running quarterback they had a few years ago?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I blocked it on my memory clearly.
Is Stoops on the hot seat at Kentucky? 13th year. They were 4-8 last year. Their offense was 113th in the country.
We need to talk to that dealer in Biloxi. He wasn't there this year, by the way. So I didn't get to talk to him. But I don't know. That's one of those schools like, okay, so you fire him. What do you do then? Yeah. Like, who are you going to get? Yeah. Who's going to go to Kentucky and be like, okay, now we're going to turn this around and win 9 or 10 games a year? Like, you're a basketball school. You have to go to a bowl game every couple of years. Whatever.
There's like you say, hit 16 returning starters.
Yeah, I wouldn't want 16 returning starters on that team. It's a bad team.
I think our next, I'm going through the script. Sorry, this is how the sausage is made. Where is my? Next, I have the ACC.
Okay.
Do you want to know what I did for the ACC?
Really can only be lost.
I wrote down what order I think they're going to finish 1 through 17, and made a list of 6 quarterbacks I think that are interesting.
Well,
That's it.
I wrote 4 teams that could win the
Let's
conference.
talk about those teams. We're both in agreement. Clemson's schedule's really soft. They're going to be good. They're going to get a pass, I think, right into the playoff. They're good for TV ratings. Everybody loves old phony Dabo. But I don't like Cade Klubnik being a Heisman. This kid hasn't done anything to. Yes, he can throw it and run it against Wake Forest.
Yeah. He played well at the end of last year. I'll give him that. But not only is Klubnik coming back, but he also has 3 of his top 4 receivers. The national average for returning production is 53%. Clemson is 80% this year. The offensive line, I think, is inarguably the best in the country. The defense was young last year. They improved as the season went on. They should be better this year. So,
SMU's got the kid Jennings. They made it to the playoff last year. I don't think, and of course, the ESPN just buries these teams. Oh, they didn't belong there. This and that and the other. They absolutely deserved it. They were a fantastic hit. They're going to be good again. They're going to win 10 games again.
Well, right after, I think, is making a case for himself to be the best coach in college football now. If you look at what he's done, where he's been, he's consistently really, really good. His guys are better than they should be, according to the experts. In spite of quarterback turmoil before settling on Kevin Jennings last year, he made 2 main mistakes. They still made the college football playoff. The schedule works against them this year, though. They play Baylor, at TCU, Miami, Louisville, and at Clemson.
You think more of Louisville than I do. I actually have Georgia Tech next. And the reason is Haynes King and Brett Key are a workmanlike team. Their schedule also very conducive. You're going to lose to Georgia, but I think that's a tough, ready-to-play team, and you can't just write them off considering the rest of the AC is garbage. I do like Louisville, and the quarterback Miller Moss comes over for USC. Mm-hmm. Braun's good with offense, but they're playing defense.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So let's say ACC gets
1.5 teams. I think SMU could sneak into there, and we're going to get to that. But Clemson's in. But realistically, one is probably it.
Clemson for sure. I think because not to jump ahead, I think you're probably going to mention Miami here coming up
Yeah.
soon. I would think. If you look back, what could have been last year if Mario Cristobal wasn't a dope. Remember last year against Syracuse, they're down by a touchdown with 4th and goal from the 10-yard line with like 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
Instead of going for with your Heisman candidate quarterback, he kicks a field goal and lets the defense try and get a stop when they haven't done that. They gave up touchdowns on 4 of the last 5 drives of that possessions. The defense was abysmal. They brought over former Minnesota defense coordinator Corey Heatherman, though, the wide receiver group could be their downfall, though.
Carson Beck wasn't very good last year. And now he's going to be the guy that has to carry that team. And he does look like, he's got the what's her say, Angel Reese eyes over here. I don't trust Miami not to shit the bed and do what they normally do. Florida State's terrible, but Castellanos is a better quarterback for them.
And they also have Gus Malzahn as offensive coordinator, which you can shit on him while he was the head coach. He's a good offensive coordinator. So
Belichick's one and done at North Carolina, ain't he?
I don't see how he's not. I mean, between the ridiculously low buyout, if he wants to leave, but the other thing, I think he just kind of retires because I don't think he's going back to the NFL because I don't think any NFL team after this last week, especially last week when he basically shit on Bob Kraft and his son, I don't think any NFL team is going to bring him on as a coach.
If you don't know that story, they asked him, he said, well, what's better about being in North Carolina than being in? He goes, no, they don't have an owner on them. They don't have an owner's son.
Yeah. We were successful when there was less layers between. We're successful when I was running the team and signing players more or less.
Arrow pointing down for Pitt, Duke, North Carolina State, Virginia Tech. I don't like any of their chances to do very well at all. Syracuse is an interesting case. I'm curious to see what happens there. I'm curious to see if Bill Buttchin can do anything with BC. And then the last 4 teams, Cal, Virginia, Wake Forest, and Stanford, are hot garbage.
Yeah, Stanford plays against Hawaii. I lost my yesterday, so I will be back in Hawaii. Laying the 2 points today against Stanford because I think they win that game easily.
Let's move on to the Big 12 because we're getting close. 42 minutes in. We got to get some stuff done here, Brian. Big 12 time. We just watched the Ireland game. What we thought last year is kind of what I think this year. It's a jumble. What we thought was teams like BYU and Arizona State were going to be not good. And we thought teams like Utah and Oklahoma State were. It completely flipped on its head. It just totally off. But they won't get any respect this year either because the schedule's atrocious. They don't play anybody. They're in limbo. They're really stuck because, we play a couple Big Ten teams. Those are really their marquee games. Mm-hmm. And the rest of it is you don't have a TV deal. And that's what it comes down to.
Well, this is a one bid conference, I guess. Yeah, and look, the game today was fine. It was great. I wish I wanted to rain off today and I kind of smoked another cigar and drink some more beer or whatever. But look, it was fine. But you could tell it wasn't good football. I mean, okay.
Matt Campbell at Iowa State's a great coach, and he's got a pretty good quarterback in that Rocco Becht. But the way they played today, they're going to play that way against somebody that they absolutely have no business playing that way and losing. Yeah. You could say that for Kansas State. They have Avery Johnson. He's a good quarterback. They're going to play that way and lose a game that they absolutely shouldn't. Yeah. Arizona State. I actually like Arizona State a lot more than some of the previews I've read. Sam Levitt's a really good quarterback, but everybody's like, oh, Cam Scatterboo's gone. There's no offense.
That's my note. Sam Levitt was an unsung hero last year. If you looked at what he did as the year went on, by the end of the year, he was carrying the team, not Cam Scatterboo. At the end of the year, he was carrying it. And he's got skill guys to compete again. Yeah, Scatterboo's gone, but they've got another good running back. Yeah. They've got good wide receivers. I think Arizona State's right there. And they've got a really good – remember, when they hired Kenny Dillingham, we both said, ooh, that's a good hire. Yeah. Young guy from the area, gets it, buys into the program. It's a good hire.
Brian, here's a team that I don't think either you and I really thought about, and then you look at it and you go, okay. Phil Steele has picked them as the surprise team that's going to win the Big 12, and here's why. They got a pretty good quarterback in Sawyer Robertson that nobody's talking about. 3,000 yards passing, 28 touchdowns. They got a really good running back in Bryson Washington, almost 1,100 yards. They got a show-me game next week. They've got Auburn. If they can beat Auburn, People are going to go, who, Baylor? Who? I mean,
Is that another or is it?
I think it's in Waco.
Remember? Yeah. Yeah, that's a big game for them and for the Big 12 for that matter.
Yeah.
Because they struggle. They don't play a lot of marquee out-of-conference games. And, Auburn is not Alabama,
No, it's not
LSU, or Ohio State or whoever, but they're still Auburn. There's still some name cachet there.
I think Utah's also being discounted. Look, Kyle Whittingham's a really great head coach. They have been ravaged by injuries. You got to think, as good a coach he is, they'll rebound. They'll figure it out.
Well, I'm telling you, Will here, won't he play this year or Cam Robinson? Cam Robinson, he finally stopped playing. When I was doing this, I thought of the Nicki Minaj song, "Bitch, if you ain't shitting, get off the pot." He was shitting for a long time, getting off the pot. Like, dude, I'm sorry, you can't play. Give it up. And then they brought over Jason Beck from New Mexico as offense coordinator. He brought his quarterback, Devin Dampier, with him. If the young defense gels, I think they got a shot at winning the conference.
A couple of the quarterbacks not a lot of people mentioned. Texas Tech's Baron Morton, 3,300 yards, 27 touchdowns. TCU's Josh Hoover, almost 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns. Texas Tech and TCU don't have a lot of panache, but they've also TCU's been there. They're only 2 years removed from a national championship. Sonny Dykes a good coach.
Yeah, and Texas Tech is gone the other route of, okay, let's go the Ohio State, let's go the NIL route and try and buy a Big 12 title, try to find out if that works. They brought in a lot of skill guys for Baron Morton to work with the quarterback, so we'll see how that works out for them.
Team that I think everybody's sleeping on is Arizona. Brent Brennan, second year, good coach. Noah Fafita had a tough year last year. Quarterback for Arizona. Doesn't have as many weapons, but I don't believe. I think last year the hype was too big for them. But somebody had them picked 15th.
Well, especially with him. I mean, we expected really big things on him, and he didn't play that well last year. I don't have them in my mix of conference. Even flying the ointment.
BYU, Jake Retzlaff goes to Tulane. They're going to go with the freshman quarterback Bear Buckner. Oh my goodness! I don't.
I'm not fully buying BYU as a conference title contender, but I think they could be interesting because that offensive line is big and nasty. And if you look at their schedule, the first 6 games are against opponents projected to be 52nd or worse. So if they get off to a hot start off 5-1, 6-0, all right, then you're going somewhere. Now they get you off a hot start because then the next 2 games are ranked 32nd or higher. So then they get the meat of the schedule after that. But if they get off to a hot start, get a little confidence built up, like I said, get Bachmeier some experience, maybe you got something there.
Colorado's who I want to have a question about. This last portion, you can mix them up. Any of these last teams, it could be any order. Colorado, Coach Prime, he gets Liberty's quarterback, Caden Salter. Good quarterback. But man, it's anybody's guess what else he's got.
I'm curious to see how they rebound from losing, not only his thumb, but then also the Heisman Trophy. I mean, it's obviously a lot to replace.
Kansas, they only have 10 returning starters, but they have a home. They have a new stadium. They have a real stadium. Jaden Daniels regressed badly.
Yeah, big time. I mean, if they're going to have any shot of even making a bowl game, he's got to play a lot better.
Houston and Willie Fritz in his second year, they were abysmal last year. He gets Texas Tech or Texas A&M transfer Connor Wegman. They were 115th offense last year. I mean, that's bad. Brian, the last couple teams I have on there, it's a full-on rebuild at West Virginia with Bitchrod. They're going to be bad. I think this is a swan song for our buddy Gundy. Oklahoma State is brutally bad. And then you've got Greg Shitterfield at UC, who doesn't deserve a job. He's 8-16. Now they do have a good quarterback, Brendan Sorsby. Really nice job last year among the other part that was a shit show for Cincinnati. I'm looking forward though to we're going to UC Iowa State, homecoming in Cincinnati. I'm looking forward to that. That is it's Nippert Stadium. No, that's Elder High School. Just smile. Look Big 12. We're on to the Independents. Did you make any notes about the Independents?
I didn't because there's only one Independent.
Who would that be?
I got a big Catholic following. No, I mean, look, Notre Dame is they're
They're gonna be good.
they're real good.
CJ Carr, Lloyd Carr's grandson, is going to be the quarterback there. The big part about them coming back this year is good offensive line, and then of course they've got Love, the running back, 1,100 yards on the ground. Got a nasty defense. The question is, can that secondary be that good again? Because I've never seen a secondary at the college level in the last decade dominate game planning like they did. And with exception to one time they didn't cover a Smith, it's like, fellas, you know what's coming.
Maybe I covered. I don't know. No, Love is a fantastic running back. But I mean, the schedule is tough.
Yeah.
They open against Miami as a after kickoff, which I presume was probably in Las Vegas or somewhere, right? Then they host A&M, host Boise State, which should be a winnable game, and that's pretty much it.
They're at Arkansas. They host USC. Those are the only other games you've got to go, well, that's a tougher opponent.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
Brian, UConn went 9-4, went to a bowl game last year, and I think Jim Mora Jr. is doing a wonderful job there. The kid that is their quarterback, Joe Fagano, 20 touchdowns last year. Oregon State, they get due transfer Malik Murphy. I think they can get to a bowl. I think they can get to 6-6. Washington State, oof, complete rebuild. I don't see them winning more than about 3 or 4 games.
I actually wrote notes about I labeled it Pac-12. I just said, as I agree. The Oregon State, I think last year was just a disaster, but they have slightly better depth and stability. But this still team I think is going to be happy getting 6 wins.
Yeah. Mountain West time, Brian. Get this: the Mountain West has no top 10 returning wide receiver from last year. They only have one returning top 10 quarterback from last year. They have no top 6 running back returning last year. They have brutal offenses. 5 teams ranked 109th or worse on offense. They have bad defense. 6 teams ranked 90th or worse on defense. This is a garbage conference that is quickly coming apart.
I mean, out of this conference, I think Boise State is still obviously a contender to make the playoff. They're going to try and get former Fresno State running back Malik Sherrod to take over the Ashton Genty role. The wide receiver room was completely unproven. I will say this: an interesting team to watch in the Mountain West. I think San Jose State is an interesting team that they were 129th last year in returning production. They have much more continuity this year.
7-6 though. Ken Niamalotalolo, former Navy coach. And look, talking about Boise State quickly. Maddox Madsen, good quarterback, 3,000 yards. But how do you replace 2,600 yards of rushing offense? You don't. Their schedule also, they have USF at Air Force, at Notre Dame. They're going to lose to Notre Dame. Who else is going to beat them? Maybe San Jose State? Maybe. They don't play one another. They'd have to play in the title game. And I like that because San Jose State misses everybody. UNLV with Dan Mullen. Ooh, Hubbard's Bear.
Yeah, I put my notes here. I know you're going to poo-poo Dan Mullen. I think it's good notes. They don't do a really impressive roster of transfers this offseason. Including former Virginia quarterback Anthony Calandria.
Yeah.
So I think UNLV is third in that conference.
I do too, but I do. He's going to prove he can coach again. He's got to prove he wants to coach and he can coach again. He can coach. We know this. Air Force, Brian, was 1-7 in conference last year, had a 13.8 points a game. The rest of that conference, Colorado State, Fresno State, Hawaii, San Diego State, Nevada, Wyoming, Utah State, New Mexico, they're dreadful.
Yeah, I want to put that about Colorado State. I think they beat bad teams last year. They went 8-1 against them. They went 0-4 against good schools, losing by an average of 25 points. What's ridiculous last year is that they lost almost one starter on defense. They beat the bad teams. Yeah. So I think Colorado State's going to be the best.
Brian, a team we missed them, but in the Big 12, by the way, Houston, Willie Fritz, did I mention them? Actually, we did. Yeah, okay. Brian, so the last portion, we've got a couple minutes to discuss here as we reach almost an hour worth of podcasting. Is talking about the college football playoffs. Now, in the structure that they have this year, 12 teams, top 5 placement as far as ranking. It's not automatic bid. Big Ten, SEC automatically get those spots. That was a point of contention last year, and they also made it difficult. Oregon won the Big Ten, and they had the toughest road to hoe. I think they're trying to eliminate that this year, right? So we were talking about teams that we think are going to make the playoff. I have my 12 and one, two, three, four, five kind of possible alternates. But who do you have?
Well, I have 10 within 2 sets of two goals.
I get okay, I get you.
So I think the locks, I think, are Penn State, Ohio State, Texas, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame. I've got South Carolina in there.
Do you
Yeah,
really?
I'm a believer. Oregon, LSU, man.
You didn't even talk about how you think the South Kakaleki's that good in the preview.
They're gonna do. I like Lenore Sellers. I do. I
Okay.
think he's very good. I think it's a really good team. Oregon, LSU, Bama. So those are my locks there, and I think the group of five team will either be
Hold your spot there. So Big Ten, you think
Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon.
okay.
So the Big Ten gets
SEC, Texas.
Texas, Georgia, South Carolina,
Wow.
LSU, Bama. I have five from the SEC.
I don't think
I'm drinking the SEC Kool-Aid.
I think you would too. I actually all right. Give me your kind of your at large and everybody else then.
Well, the group of five would be either as like the depth chart thing, Tulane or Boise State. I think Tulane, if Boise State screws up one of those games they shouldn't lose, if they lose the conference title game, then I think Tulane is that team. The Big 12, I think, is either Iowa State or Arizona State.
So I've got kind of the similar thought process. The Penn State, Texas, Clemson. Those are your big conference champions. You've got Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, and then you get down to the next layer. I like Bama, LSU. You got to throw in a Big 12 team, and I think it could be Iowa State, Kansas State, or Arizona State. The ACC might sneak another team in there. I actually think it's either going to be SMU or Georgia Tech. I think one or the other is going to get in. I really do believe that because the other teams are so bad. Notre Dame's going to get in. Boise State basically has to be perfect. Like you said, God forbid they lose an extra game in there. And then there is Tulane skulking around. But I also like Illinois to be this year's Indiana and maybe sneak in.
I debated instead of South Carolina. I agree. I think Illinois has got a really good shot at it. But I don't know. They'll be the fourth Big Ten team then, which.
Give me your Final Four and give me a champion. You've got your 12.
I think it's probably Penn State, Clemson, Notre Dame, and that fourth one's tricky. I'll go. Oh man, they're so flawed. I guess I'll say LSU.
Wow.
The big question mark.
My Final Four, I got Notre Dame, Georgia, Penn State, and Texas. And I actually am going to be drinking the big orange Kool-Aid. I think Texas can win it. Mm-hmm. I honestly do. I think they've got enough on defense, and it's the biggest if Arch Manning is the guy we've been waiting for. He's the next Texas version. He's the next Manning. I mean, he's got the big forehead and everything. So if he is the man, and they are able, they got to beat Georgia at some point, right? Yeah. You got to beat them at some point. That is the team I think is. They got the target on their back. They're number one preseason. It hasn't happened that we've had a preseason number one, but man, they're good.
Who decided with the great Arch versus Archie debate? Will Arch come back for another year?
Hell no. What's the Quinn Ewers found out? Yeah. What's the point? Yeah. Take the money, go to the NFL, and I mean, because Quinn Ewers may not make the Dolphins. Yeah. I mean, he's going to go back. Well, that's what I'm saying. He should have. He could have gone to Ohio State. He could have gone a couple of. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And been better for it. But I mean, he also could have jumped before. Any place else. I don't know. I think that there are so much expectations there. But name a name in sports that lived up to expectations. Brady, Manning. Who else you got? As far as football.
Yeah.
I mean, just a thought. So
Yep.
that's it. We've fulfilled an hour's worth of programming as part of our community service for whatever the hell we did in the past life. Anyway, Brian, I hope the audio came through nice and clear.
We're gonna find out.
I want
Otherwise, we wasted hours.
no, we'll have video. There's always video.
Video.
And like I said, I like the video because, like I said, I can do it from home. I'm hoping maybe we can do it one day where it's really rainy, that you can be on your computer and I'll be on my computer.
Crazy.
The future, Brian, is
Right?
here. So I want to thank Danny DeLogue from the Celtic Rag for helping with the sound. Hopefully it works. Anyway, but that's it. That's all we got for it. We are going to do another podcast and be back for our first pick six of the year.
Yeah. Monday.
Monday.
We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it
I
goes.
got to get to work on the script and figure out what game for you.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Good day, everybody.